Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We switched up the scenery. I'm in the basement today instead of Gabby's beauty room. And honestly, this might be the vibe the rest of the time that I'm home because the couch is a little bit more comfortable than the backless beauty chair. This might be the move from here on out. In fact, when I go back to my apartment, I'm probably gonna film in my living room because the stories are really long and my back starts to ache. And this is, oh, we got the psychopath. We got
I put the harness on him and brought the leash.
We got the psycho doggy. Body's out of control. He just ate some poo-poo outside.
It's so gross.
That's Gabby. She will be editing a video while I sit here and tell you a very sad and f***ed up and unsolved, horrific, horrible, terrible crime. This one's a long one. It was suggested by Raisa Maro. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. But she suggested this. It's my first, I think this is my first unsolved case. Oh, nope, I did John Benet Ramsey, and that's unsolved. So I guess this is my second. Oh, nope, I did Natalie Holloway. So this is my third unsolved case on my true crime playlist. And for anyone asking, because a couple people asked in my last video, if I have a playlist, the answer is yes. I have a specific playlist for these videos, and it is called True Crime / Conspiracy Theories, although I have decided that I will never be covering conspiracy theories, although this video is kind of like a conspiracy theory because there's so many different theories. I'm not really going to be doing conspiracy theories on the channel, but I will be discussing some theories on some cases. Like today there's a bunch of different theories. I have my own, and then other people had their own when I was doing research. But this case is really, 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 really disturbing, and I'm kind of shocked that it's unsolved. It was committed in 2012, and now it's 2021. So how many years is that, Gabby? 13,
11,
14,
Jamie. 11.
So 11 years and no one has been arrested for Faith's murder. I think it's bullshit, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Another thing before we get started, do not forget, if you miss my more personal videos, my story times, my vlogs, playing stupid games with my family, they haven't stopped. They're just not on YouTube. Link is in the description box for our wave. ridethewave.com/thevictortwins/post. New videos all the time. So if you miss them, there's an easy solution. You just go and subscribe. You're welcome. Third, I took the background music off my last video because a lot of people were complaining about it, so I'm going to leave it out of this video, but I'm going to go ahead and ask one more time. Do you guys want background music like we're in the middle of an ID Discovery Network snapped episode on Oxygen, so it feels more like a show, or do you just want me to be talking and have music in my intro and outro? It's really up to you. I'm really getting 50-50. I have some people that say they don't mind, and then I have a lot of people that said hell no to music. So again, I'm just gonna say there's no music in this video, but comment below what you want. And also, I'm rambling, please email all suggestions that you want me to do for true crime. I cannot keep up with people that comment what videos they want me to do. Also, I'm starting a Patreon. I don't really know how to use it, but I am, so I want to know what you guys would want me to put in the levels. What would be cool for a true crime Patreon? You decide and you let me know, and I shall make it happen. But anyways, let's get into the story. So you're probably wondering why I have a completely different outfit on and makeup, and it's because it is Monday. I was actually gonna post this video on Sunday, but I actually haven't even finished editing it. I started editing this true crime on Saturday night at like 9. I went to bed at 5:40 5:45 in the morning, and then I woke up at 7 and I started editing again around like 10, and then by 10 p.m. I was so exhausted I didn't finish, and so I went to bed early last night. And then around 2 a.m. I woke up and I was looking for a picture to put in my true crime as I was editing, and as I was editing I found these. So Faith's records were sealed for a long period of time. When you watch this you'll hear me talk about it, but some of her records were unsealed, and I actually found legitimate court documents. Most of them are still sealed, but I found some of these court documents, and I just had to film again and give my opinions, and now I have new insight that I didn't have before I saw these, so now I'm going to add that in as I'm going along, because I was so certain you'll watch the end of this of who I thought committed this crime, and I read them for filth. You will see as you watch this video. Now I'm like, there's probably 2 possibilities, maybe even 3 possibilities of what I think happened, and I will present that with the new documents that I just found last night. So it is Monday. I'm hoping to have this out by this evening, and yeah, so I just wanted to explain why I have 2 makeup looks in this video. If you're wondering why my makeup is so intense, for my Wave channel I filmed Rihanna's Wild Thoughts makeup tutorial. I don't know how I did. Comment below if you think it looks good, and that will be posted on our Wave channel this week, so you can click the link in the description box below and watch it. I'm no professional makeup artist, but people were like, Danny, do some makeup tutorials, and I was like, alright. And then I bought this shirt from Pretty Little Thing, and first thing I thought of was her makeup in that video, so I was like, let that be my first tutorial. So if you want to see this tutorial sometime this week, click the link in the description box. And again, I hope I'm going to start from the very beginning, watch what I've already recorded, and if I forgot to mention something, now that I have this new actual real ass evidence, I will add it in there. Keep in mind that Faith's records, which I will say later on, which was pre-recorded, were sealed for 2 years, 2 whole years after her murder, because they were trying to protect the case. Then they unsealed it, and there was 222 pages that were unsealed, and the document I found last night was only 118, so that means more pages were sealed again. So I don't have access to those. I still have lots of questions, but at least now we can add this new evidence that I found into this true crime. One more thing, during this true crime I want to just give you a breakdown about how I'm doing it. I introduce obviously the victim and the people surrounding the victim. I then describe what happened to her, and then I did the 911 call. I broke it down. I gave my opinion about the 911 call. I then will talk about other evidence that was released to the public, and I give my opinion on it, and then I go through each suspect. So if you're interested in the breakdown of the suspects, because I don't know how long people watch true crimes. I don't know if you guys are sitting through my entire true crime episodes, but for people that are here to hear about the suspects, I am going to break down what I know about each suspect. Although there are multiple suspects, a lot of them haven't been released to the public. I can only give you my opinion and my thoughts on the ones that have been. Keep in mind, I am going to talk about other people's theories on this case, and I'm also very strongly opinionated on this case. It infuriates me, so a lot of what I say in this video will be my personal opinions and theories. A lot of people may not agree with what I'm saying or who I believe is responsible, but maybe you will. So I just wanted to put this in the beginning of the video that I do break down each suspect, but that will be towards past the 45-minute mark, because I've already filmed an hour and I haven't even started talking about the suspects in depth. So if you are really interested in the breakdown of suspects, that will be in this video as well towards the end. Now, let's go back to where we were. Faith Hedgepeth was born on September 26, 1992, which does not seem like it was that long ago at all. 1992. How old would she be today, Gabby? I'll do it myself. 2021 minus 1992.
She's like 20.
She would be 29.
28.
29. She'd be 29.
What month was it?
September 26, 1992.
Wouldn't she be about to be 29? I think so.
I just did 2021 minus 1992 and it said 29. So I think in September she'd be 30, no? Well, whatever. She would be 29 years old.
In September she would be 29. Because it's still the same year. 2021. It's still going to be 2021. So she'll be 29.
Oh, yeah. So she would be 2029. 2029.
God, I can't.
She would be 29 years old She lived in Warren County, North Carolina, and her parents were Ronald and Connie Hedgepeth. Faith was a member of the Halliwa-Saponi Native American tribe, and Warren County, where she was born, is part of the tribe's traditional territory. She grew up in Hollister, which was a small town on the Warren-Halifax County border. Faith's father, Roland, had a very close relationship with his daughter, Faith. Faith was born when he was at a very, very low point in his life. He was battling drug addiction. To this day, he has not changed a thing in Faith's room. He has not let go of his daughter, as I don't imagine any parent would, even if it's been 1 year or 500 years. I don't think any parent that truly loved their child could move on. Roland believed that Faith was a gift in his life. Just a few months after Faith was born, her parents, Roland and Connie, got a divorce. Roland moved 4 hours away from where Connie stayed with Faith, and he moved to a town called Hickory, North Carolina. Rolanda, who is Faith's older sister, was 18 years old at the time Faith was born and helped raise her. Faith excelled in high school. She was a cheerleader and she participated in a lot of extracurricular activities. She joined clubs, she joined organizations, she did a lot when it came to school and a lot outside of school. Family and friends describe Faith as someone that was loving, generous, and did what she could to give back to society. At 19 years old, Faith had plans to be the first member of her family to graduate from college. When it was time to apply for college, she already had her mind made up and she knew that she wanted to attend University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Her father also attended UNC Chapel Hill, but ended up dropping out when he started a family with his ex-wife Connie. Faith even earned the highly selective Gates Millennium Scholarship to attend UNC Chapel Hill. It's a very hard scholarship to get, and she got it. By Faith's third year of college at UNC, she made up her mind that she wanted to be a pediatrician. She loved kids, and she wanted to give back somehow, some way, so that was the perfect job for her. Close friends and family of Faith recall her social life being busy. She liked to go out and party. She had a lot of friends. She was bubbly, always out, and she also liked boys. She dated a lot. Now, I don't know if people are saying that so they could like be talking shit about her, because I don't know about y'all, but in college, when you're finally not living with your parents and there's lots of boys running around campus, who is it like, hey, there's this cute guy in science class and there's also this cute guy in my math class, and then I walked over to gym and there's a cute one there too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I don't really know why in a lot of the articles I read about Faith that was even a factor that was mentioned over and repeatedly. It's like, who wasn't a little boy crazy while they were in college? I mean, I guess I wasn't, but I've never really been boy crazy. I've been crazy in the sense of boys where like I get super attached to one boy, but I haven't been like boy crazy where I just like have so many people that I'm with at one time. Especially in college. Like I had no love life in college, now that I think about it. But Faith did not lack in that department. Faith met this chick her freshman year of college named Karina Rosario. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just insert right here that Karina, I don't like. And I hope that that chick sees this YouTube and I can say, I don't like you at all. But we'll get into that in a little bit. She met Karina freshman year of college. They became inseparable best friends. If Faith went to a party, Karina was at the party too. If Faith went to the library, Karina was at the library too. And come her third year, Faith ended up living temporarily with Karina. Come September, had a tragedy not occurred, Faith was going to move out on her own, but temporarily she was crashing at Karina's place until she got enough money to get her own place. They shared a bedroom in this apartment. They did not have separate rooms, they shared a bedroom. It was Karina's apartment originally and Faith jumped in. Before Faith moved in with Karina, Karina was dating a young man named Eric Tacoy James. Eric actually lives in the apartment. I'm a little unclear if at some point Karina moved in and it was Karina, Faith, and Eric all in one room together, or Faith moved in after Eric moved out. But Karina's relationship with Eric was very toxic. It was abusive. He was not a nice human being. When they eventually broke up, he did not take it lightly, as any abuser wouldn't. He got set off. He would not accept the breakup. He tried to break into their apartment multiple times. He broke down 2 doors, broke a couple of their windows. He just would not let the relationship go. Faith eventually convinced Karina to go and file a restraining order, which she did. And anyone that knows, a restraining order only makes a psychopath more psychotic. So what I'm about to read is from a search warrant that was in the court documents that were released, and it confirms the date and when Karina got a restraining order against Eric, and it also states that Eric had an issue with Faith. The Chapel Hill Police Department received a call on September 9th, 2012 from a woman who was a former roommate of Hedgepeth. The former roommate stated that sometime between the months of May to July 2012, Hedgepeth told her that blank hated her, parentheses, Hedgepeth, and told her he was going to kill her, meaning Faith, if Rosario did not get back together with him. The second part of the warrant reads, through preliminary investigation, affiant learned that a restraining order was issued against blank by Rosario on July 11, 2012. The basis of the restraining order was a domestic assault to which officers with the Chapel Hill Police Department responded on July 11, 2012. In this incident, blank kicked 2 doors in the apartment off their frame. As a part of this investigation, affiant also received several accounts of Rosario being seen with visible injuries to her body that were reportedly inflicted by blank. The third part of the search warrant reads, affiant learned through further investigation that blank resented Hedgepeth because of her influence over Rosario. Several witnesses also advised that blank considered Hedgepeth as a barrier to their relationship. So, when this happened, it set Eric into a rage, and he threatened, allegedly, to one of Karina and Faith's friends that if Karina did not get back with him, he would kill Faith. Now, I don't know what Faith being dead would help Eric and Karina's relationship, but for some reason, he said, if she does not get back with me, I am going to kill Faith. And I don't know if he felt that way because he felt like Faith was responsible for Karina going to the police station and file a restraining order, but allegedly, that is what he told one of their mutual friends, who would later tell police after Faith was found murdered. All of this drama between Karina and Eric happened in July of 2012, which was 2 months before Faith was murdered. September 2nd, 2012 would be the last time Connie would ever see her daughter Faith alive. It was Connie's birthday and they were celebrating early, so when Faith got off her shift at the Red Robin in Durham, she picked up Karina, and Karina and her drove to Warren County to celebrate her mother's birthday. 24 hours before Faith's murder, she contacted both her parents via text to check on them, to tell them she loved them, and that would be the last time they would ever hear from her. So we're gonna jump right into the day before Faith's murder, which was September 6, 2012. 24 hours before this day, Faith had texted her dad that she planned on joining UNC's chapter of the Native American Alpha Phi Omega. At 6 p.m. on September 6, 2012, Faith attended a rush event at Alpha Phi Omega. I don't know if anyone has seen my old story times, but I too attended an Alpha Phi rush in San Jose, California. And I ended up getting picked. I don't know how, because every single person pretty much was white in that sorority. I didn't even know they had a Native American chapter. I probably would have had a better bet running for that since I have Native American in my blood, but the Alpha Phi I rushed for was all white girls. But sorority rushes are quite interesting. It's definitely a way to make friends, but it's kind of weird that she's rushing in her 3rd year and not her freshman year, because usually when you rush for a sorority, it would be like in your freshman, sophomore year, early on. But she went to an event at 6 p.m. the day before she got murdered. At around 8 p.m., Karina and Faith headed to the Davis Library on campus to study. Faith had a project due. It was very important. She had a lot of work to do. She actually briefly left the library for a period of time. Allegedly, it was to go meet a man. The name of the man was never released, so I have no idea who she went to go meet or why she had to go meet this man in the middle of working on a really important project, but she did leave the library briefly. I find it a little interesting that the police will not release the name of the guy Faith left the library to go see. What exactly is being hidden? Why can't they say who she left to go see? What conversation did they have? What is the time frame? What is being hidden? Why won't police tell us who she left to go see the library? Who did she leave to go see from the library? I just don't get why that's a big secret, but for some reason it is. She came back to the library, and then her and Karina left the library around 11:30 p.m. and returned to their apartment. Their apartment at the time was called Hawthorne at the View. I believe now that is no longer the name of the apartment building. So they leave the library at 11:30 p.m. and they get back to their apartment at around midnight. It's important to note that Karina and Faith's apartment was at the end of the road. They shared the second floor apartment. It was surrounded by trees, and there was only one way in and one way out of their apartment. The girls were at their apartment for 30 minutes or less. They did a quick change, probably took, a quick shower, brushed their hair, put on a nice little outfit, and they headed to a nightclub that was actually 18 plus, because keep in mind, these girls are not 21. So the girls leave their apartment and they head to Thrill nightclub, which was 18 plus, which allowed 18-year-olds to quote-unquote dance at the nightclub while there was older adults there. I think that's really creepy. Those don't even exist anymore. Over 21-year-olds should not be mingling with people that are under 21. I just think that's weird. But it's a very popular spot in North Carolina because it was one of the few spots that allowed 18-year-olds and underage people to be in a facility where there was drinking. So they head to the club.
This security camera footage, never before seen by the public, shows an overhead view as the women walk into the club. That's one of the club's bouncers, escorting them inside.
And they meet up with this guy named Brandon Edwards, who is actually one of Karina's ex-boyfriends, who Karina was still friendly with. Despite the two girls being underage, it has been said that both Karina and Faith drank while at the nightclub. Sometime in the night, Karina starts complaining to Faith how she doesn't feel good, she needs to go home, so like a good friend, Faith agrees to go home with her. Security cameras catch Faith and Karina leaving the club at around 2:06 in the morning. Keep in mind, in the security footage, Karina is walking ahead of Faith. She seems okay. She doesn't seem too upset. Faith is behind her. She looks happy. She's talking to a man and is actually walking out of the club with a man. It would later be confirmed that this man didn't actually go home with them. So the last person to see Faith alive would be Karina. The girls got home sometime between 2:30 in the morning and 3 a.m. Later, when Karina was interviewed, she told police that they got home. She felt sick from drinking because she drank too much. Faith helped her into her bed, tucked her in like any good friend would, and she fell asleep. An older woman named Joy lived in the apartment below Faith and Karina. She told police later on when they were doing their investigation that around 3 a.m. she was still up watching TV because she couldn't sleep. And she heard noises coming from the apartment above her that sounded like 3 loud thumps, like a heavy book bag falling on the ground or an end table being turned over. Also, around this time at 3 a.m., whether it be Faith or someone else, someone accessed Faith's Facebook. They logged into her account. At around 3:40 in the morning, Faith sent a text from her phone to Karina's ex-boyfriend, Brandon Edwards. The text read this: "Hey B, period. Can you come over please? Karina needs you more. Aha." She meant to spell then. Spelling was up, probably from drinking. Please let her know you care. 3 minutes later, she texted the word then, which was obviously a correction for her misspelled aha. Brandon didn't text Faith's phone back till the next afternoon at around 4:16 p.m. asking, "Who is this?" So how is it that Faith has Brandon's number locked and saved in her phone to text him to come over to take care of his ex-girlfriend, but he doesn't have Karina's best friend / roommate's number saved? That's a little sketchy to me. What are your thoughts on that, Gabby? Faith texted Karina's ex-boyfriend at 3:40 in the morning telling him to come over to take care of Karina to show he cared. Mind you, he saw them at the club. And he texted back the following afternoon at 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying, "Who is this?" So why would Faith have your ex-boyfriend's number?
We did it together, like girl time, how it's like,
yeah.
Let me use your phone.
Yeah. That's true. But wouldn't you say, "Hey B, it's Faith"? Wouldn't you say, "Hey B, it's me, Faith," if you knew he didn't have his number saved? That's weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you text knowing that, like, as if he already had your number?
Yeah, it's weird.
So needless to say, that part of the story is super confusing to me. It seems to me as though Karina probably took Faith's phone and texted Brandon on her own. I mean, if my friend wanted to text her ex from my phone, I would let her do it. I've done it from my friends' phones, which makes me think, like, did he block your number? Around the same time, Faith texted Brandon's phone to come take care of Karina. Karina was also calling Brandon's phone. She was blowing his phone up. So between 3:45 in the morning and 4:15 in the morning, Karina called Brandon 4 times off her own phone, and also Faith texted him asking him to come over to take care of Karina. So basically they were still up at this time together. So at 3:40 in the morning, she's texting Brandon from Faith's phone, but also using her own phone to call him several times, and each call was ignored. Brandon never answered. I automatically assumed he didn't answer Karina's call because Faith sent a text asking him to come over. He didn't even have Faith's number stored because he replied, "Who is this?" In the search warrant, in regards to Brandon Edwards, there is a section in the search warrant that says, "Affiant also looked at Rosario's phone records and discovered that she called blank at 3:44 a.m., duration 33 seconds. Again at 3:52 a.m., duration 38 seconds. Again at 3:55 a.m. for a duration of 37 seconds. And again at 4:14 in the morning for a duration of 36 seconds. Affiant also learned through phone records and interviews that Rosario left the residence about 4:30 a.m. with blank. I, for shits and giggles, called my mom and told her not to answer. And I let it go, and I let it speak the entire voicemail little message that she has, which is the robotic one that 90% of us have. And then I hung up right before I could leave a voicemail. And that call was 21 seconds. So let's say someone didn't answer and you got the voicemail, but you didn't leave a voicemail. All those calls would have been at least 21 seconds or less. Her phone calls were almost 40 seconds each. So either Karina was leaving him voice messages, which police have probably listened to, or he picked up and they had very short conversations with each other. She called him multiple times in a row. So either she was leaving him voicemails or they were having short ass conversations about something. I'm unsure about this. It confuses me. I'm thinking that maybe she left him multiple voicemails. That's why the phone calls are all about 30 seconds. Originally, what you will see when I bring this up is I thought that she was calling Brandon and blowing up Brandon's phone because she wanted Brandon to come over and possibly find Faith. I came up with all these theories. Now I'm thinking, is Brandon involved somehow? After being completely ignored by her ex-boyfriend Brandon, Karina hits up another guy that she must be talking to, who is a former UNC soccer player named Jordan McCary. Might be saying his last name wrong, I'm not sure. But she texts him around 4 o'clock in the morning, and around 4:25, Jordan picks up Karina from their apartment. She leaves the apartment, and she will later tell police that when she left the apartment, she left the door unlocked. And when she left, she saw Faith sleeping in her bed, fast asleep. Let me just get this straight. So about 15-20 minutes after you use Faith's phone to text your ex-boyfriend, she falls straight to sleep because you're probably upset that you got ignored by your ex-boyfriend, and no friend is gonna fall asleep on you if you're upset. So Faith fell asleep. Your ex-boyfriend, who you have a restraining order on, has busted through your apartment multiple times, kicked in your doors, but you just happened to leave the door unlocked that night for no specific reason whatsoever. And Faith was asleep, alive, and well when you left the apartment. And again, you're the last person to see Faith alive. Is that what you're telling us, Karina girl? Is that what you're telling us? Is it? Is that the story you're telling us? Any woman that has a restraining order out against a man who has abused them, beaten them, is never going to leave their apartment door open for any reason. Not if they're running down the street to grab some milk at the store. Not if they're going to walk their dog. They're never going to leave their door unlocked unless intentionally you are leaving it unlocked. When this story starts to unfold, I have a feeling that Karina intentionally left the door unlocked for somebody to get in, or she intentionally left the door unlocked so she could later tell police that she left it unlocked, but at this point, Faith might have already been dead. And therefore her leaving the door unlocked would be a perfect little excuse as to how someone could possibly get into their apartment and commit this heinous crime against Faith. Whatever the case may be, Karina letting police know that she left the door unlocked gives me, without reasonable doubt, the feeling and the all-knowing that Karina had something to do with her best friend's murder. Jordan drove Karina to 103 West Longview Street in Chapel Hill to a guy named Jacob Beatley's house. From what I read, Jordan, the boy who picked Karina up from their apartment, was a romantic interest of Karina's. I also read that Jacob Beatley, the guy whose house she got dropped off at, was also a romantic interest of Karina's. So I'm a little confused because what girl has someone she's romantically linked with drop her off at the house of somebody else she's romantically linked with? That don't make no sense at all. And never in the history of ever have I ever heard of any man being cool picking up any female at 4 a.m. in the morning, sleeping hours, early morning hours, to bring them to another man's house. I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of this before. I've literally never heard of this before. Like, let's take the romantically linked portion out of it. Why would Jordan pick up Karina at 4 a.m. to bring her to another man's house? There's a piece of that story missing, y'all. Something isn't being explained correctly here. Why would a man pick up a woman at 4:25 in the morning to bring her to another man's house? Why? Why? That story doesn't add up. When Karina is getting investigated by police, she tells police that she woke up in the morning at Jacob's house. She called Faith for a ride multiple times, but Faith wasn't answering. So she called a mutual friend of both her and Faith, and her name was Marisol Rangel. Marisol also told police that she too tried to call Faith and got no answer. They both assumed that Faith overslept, and that Marisol agreed to pick up Karina and bring both her and Faith to their classes so they wouldn't have to take the bus. This doesn't add up for me. Marisol said that she called Faith and didn't get an answer. Why would Marisol be calling Faith multiple times? If they assume that she overslept, or maybe she was hungover, or maybe she left her phone at home when she went to class, why would both girls be frantically calling Faith multiple times? Karina said she called her multiple times for a ride home. Marisol is telling police that she called her and then she planned on bringing both of them to class. But Faith had her own car. She had a Nissan Altima. Hence why Karina was calling Faith to pick her up from Jacob's house because she needed a ride home. Why would someone who has a vehicle need a ride to campus to go to class? That doesn't make any sense. Marisol's part of this story makes no sense. Karina and Marisol said they arrived back at Faith and Karina's apartment around 11 a.m. Faith's car was still in the driveway. Marisol described her and Karina walking into the apartment yelling Faith's name. Now, if you assumed that your friend overslept, okay, didn't go to class because her car is in the driveway, but you just said you were going to bring her to class, so if you thought for a second that possibly she was at class and then forgot her phone, why would you think that? If you're shocked that her car is in the driveway, that shit don't make no sense. Then why would you be screaming your friend's name if you are so convinced that she overslept? Why would you walk into an apartment waking your friend up if in fact you think she's sleeping? That part of the story doesn't make any sense. So they tell police that they're screaming her name, but they get no response. And then they walk into the bedroom, and there they found the horrific crime scene. Faith murdered, bludgeoned to death in the bedroom, blood everywhere. So let's get our facts straight here. Karina leaves the apartment at 4:25 in the morning. She gets picked up by one dude to then go to another dude's spot. And in the morning, when she wakes up, neither one of these dudes can drive her home. None of them can bring her home. They can pick her up at 4 o'clock in the morning and conveniently be up to answer her call to come over at 4 o'clock in the morning, but no one can drive her home at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning? So she conveniently calls Faith multiple times for a ride and Faith doesn't answer? How convenient. Proof to the police that you weren't at home with her. Calling her multiple times and she doesn't answer. How convenient for Karina. Then Karina calls her other friend, who also said she called Faith and got no answer. And then her friend goes back to the apartment with Karina, so Karina isn't at home alone with a dead body. How convenient. Not only does Karina have an alibi and proof that she wasn't at the apartment, but now she's not alone to discover a body by herself. Because the last person to see Faith alive was in fact Karina. So imagine if Karina didn't get picked up at 4 o'clock in the morning by some guy. She just went to bed, woke up, and found a dead body in the bed next to her. That wouldn't look good for Karina, but how conveniently that she left, and on the one night she left, she leaves the door unlocked. She leaves the door unlocked knowing she's not coming home, because clearly if you're going to a dude's house at 4:30 in the morning, you're probably not going to come back till the next morning, later in the morning hours. So conveniently, the day you go and leave at 4:30 in the morning, you leave the door unlocked where someone conveniently got in to kill your best friend slash roommate. You weren't home. You called someone for a ride. You called her for a ride home. She's not answering, so you call someone else for a ride home, who then can pick you up where you're at to prove that you weren't home, brings you back to your apartment, goes into the apartment with you, and discovers the body with you, so you're not alone discovering a body where you were the last person to see her alive. How convenient for you, Karina. How convenient for you. How convenient. Not suspicious at all, Karina. Not suspicious at all. Faith was lying, head up, her head partially off the bed. She was completely naked from the waist down. The black shirt that she was wearing was partially pulled over her head. Faith suffered from what appeared to be severe head trauma. There was a pool of blood underneath her head. Faith was wrapped partially by a comforter that had been on the bed, and there was blood on the walls and pillows. Near Faith's body was an empty bottle of Bacardi peach rum, which would later be revealed to be the murder weapon. In an interview with ABC, Marisol told interviewers that she stayed in the room with the body when Karina called 911 and was walking in and out of the room while she was talking to them. I'm gonna go ahead and break down this 911 call and how I feel about it, and then you guys can also discuss in the comments section how you feel about this 911. Also, I wanted to put in here that I listened to the audio of the 911 call, and the handwritten words that you're seeing on the screen are what I wrote down in my iPages for what I heard during the 911 call. There's a few times I did not understand what the caller was saying to the dispatcher during this call, and I noted that when I wrote down the transcripts for y'all, but these transcripts that are written and you're seeing are not from a website. They're not from a 911 call platform. I literally listened to the audio 150 times, paused it, and wrote down what I heard as the transcripts. These are not official 911 transcripts. This is what I listened to and what I heard and what you guys will also be hearing, because the audio will be playing. Make sure you have your volume up. Maybe you guys will hear something I didn't hear, but these transcripts that you're reading on the screen is what I wrote in my iPages and what I heard when I listened. So during this interview with ABC, Marisol is crying, and the way she's crying and the way she's speaking and how soft-spoken she is sounds exactly like the 911 call. Now, a reporter who worked for the Observer named Tom Gasperly, might be saying that last name incorrectly, sorry. He came forward and said that he believes that Marisol made the 911 call and not Karina. And he also pointed out the similarities in Marisol's voice in her interview with ABC versus the 911 call. And now I watched the interview with ABC and then I listened to the 911 call, and I'm gonna go ahead and say I agree with Tom that it wasn't Karina that made the 911 call. Now, I also don't know what Karina's voice sounds like. There is no interviews with Karina that I could watch, and also she has declined for years to be interviewed by anybody. But if I had to listen to the ABC interview and the 911 call, there is a lot of similarities with how Marisol was crying and speaking during her interview and how the person who called 911 sounded and spoke. For me, I would think that would be an easy determination for police, especially if they have voice analysts and people that study this type of stuff and have technology to prove this type of stuff, that they can in fact determine who made that 911 call. They interviewed Karina 10 times. And in those 10 times, they should be able to determine whether or not it was really her who made the 911 call. But Tom, who worked for the Observer, believes that Marisol made the 911 call, and I too believe that Marisol made the 911 call.
Definitely knew how to kind of make you feel safe, make you feel happy. She had friends everywhere. She would make friends so quick.
11:01 a.m. 44 seconds, September 7, 2012.
Durham 911, where is your emergency?
I just walked into my apartment and my friend was just like, she's unconscious.
Okay, what's your address, ma'am?
I live at Hawthorne at the View.
Give me the address.
I just moved here. I'm about to get it. Oh my God. It's 5639 Old Chapel Hill Road in Durham.
Okay, repeat it to me so I make sure I've got it correct.
Okay. 5639 Old Chapel Hill Road. It's apartment 1602.
1602?
Yes.
Okay.
But let's just say it was Karina that made the 911 call. There's a lot of weird shit that happens in this 911 call, and I'm gonna go ahead and point that shit out. Number one, Karina says hi to the dispatcher, operator, whatever you want to call it. She sounds very calm, no sense of urgency. Like, if I just found my roommate and best friend dead in her bed, blood everywhere, I'm not just gonna be like, hello, hi. No, I'm like, somebody please! She has no sense of urgency whatsoever in her voice. None. Now, it could be said that people handle stress and get nervous and they talk and act differently. To me, hearing how calm she is, talking and introducing herself to the operator and dispatcher has no sense of urgency. And anyone that just found a dead body for the first time ever would be freaked out and be completely frantic in a 911 call. I don't even know if I would say hi. I would just get into the there's an emergency, somebody come here now. But to me, her intro, her hi, was very eerie to me, very weird to me. Let's say it's Karina on the 911 call. She says, I arrived home. But she arrived home with Marisol, who picked her up from Jacob's house. So why wouldn't she say, we arrived home, or we arrived to the apartment? Why is she talking in the sense that she was by herself? That could be seen as deception. Karina also says to the dispatcher, I just got home to my apartment, which provides the dispatcher and operator an alibi, saying, I wasn't here, I just got home. Another kind of weird but kind of not weird part of this 911 call is Karina oftentimes called it my apartment, not our apartment, when she lived with Faith. I have two roommates back in California and I call it my apartment because my name is on the lease and I'm the main tenant. Like, I get all the mail for the apartment, all the bills are in my name, so I call it my apartment. So I don't think it's the sketchiest thing in the world that she calls it my apartment, but it also could be a red flag because she referred to herself in the singular many times in this 911 call, where this could be a red flag, but also Faith moves in after Eric. She was only living there temporarily. She wasn't a full-time live-in roommate, so it's not that suspicious she called it my apartment, but it also could be a red flag because she said, I just arrived home, I got here, always referring to herself in the singular. And maybe she didn't want to say I got back to our apartment because she didn't want to make it sound like Faith was also a roommate. I don't know. This could be a red flag, it could be nothing.
Okay, you say your friend is unconscious?
She's unconscious. I just walked in the apartment and there looks like there's blood everywhere.
Okay, listen to me. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. Somebody's already sending the ambulance. Okay, I need to get some information from you, and I'm gonna tell you how to help her. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. How old is she?
She's 19.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to touch her, but.
Listen to me. Is she breathing?
I don't know.
You need to check and see. Is she breathing?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, listen to me.
There's blood everywhere.
There's what?
There's blood everywhere.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Karina on the 911 call told the dispatcher that Faith was unconscious. Now, unconscious means you're still alive, you're still breathing, you are without awareness, but you're still breathing, you're not dead. However, Faith was murdered. She was bludgeoned to death, which means she was not unconscious. She would have been physically and visually dead. So why did Karina tell the dispatcher and operator that Faith was unconscious when clearly she was no longer alive? The dispatcher asked Karina for the address multiple times, and each time Karina doesn't give a proper response. At one point, she even told the dispatcher, I might forget it. I don't remember. I just moved in. I don't have it memorized. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I have my address memorized. It's not that difficult. But had this been Marisol who was making the 911 call, who didn't live in the apartment, it would make sense why she didn't know the address by heart. She probably had to look around for it, walk out the front door, look at the apartment building number. It would make sense that Marisol made the 911 call, and that's why she couldn't remember the address. It wouldn't make sense that Karina couldn't remember her own goddamn address. When it's on her bills, she drives there every day, she walks into her apartment every day, she would know her apartment number by heart. You know who wouldn't though? Marisol wouldn't. Are we doing the cops' jobs for them or what, people? Are we just figuring this out right now? Are we solving the case? Because it wasn't Karina who made the 911 call. The proof is in the pudding. It was Marisol. Marisol don't have their address memorized, and therefore she was stalling while giving the dispatcher information. It took the dispatcher about 3 or 4 times to get the address out of the person they were talking to on the 911 call. Only once during this entire 911 call did Karina or Marisol, I think it's Marisol, ask the police if someone was coming, followed up by a soft, kind of whispered hurry. Not a single time before that or after that did the person that called 911 ask if someone was coming, act frantic, act panicked. They just added that once, is someone coming, hurry.
Okay, is she on her back or is she on her, laying on her stomach?
She's on her back, but like I think she fell off the bed because she's like off the bed. There's blood all over the pillows, like in the comforter. I just don't know what happened.
Okay. All right, listen to me, all right?
Is someone coming?
Yes, I've got somebody coming. I need for you to help her. I need for you to go up to her. We need to see if she's breathing or not. Okay?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If you just found your best friend / roommate murdered, unconscious, blood everywhere in her bedroom, which is also your bedroom, wouldn't you be in a fucking panic, begging for help, asking where the fuck are the cops, where are the ambulances, what the fuck is going on? Wouldn't you have more urgency? Wouldn't you have more panic? Wouldn't you be more scared? How do you have no fear? What if the killer was still in your apartment? What if the killer was still in the apartment complex? What if he was outside in the driveway? Why do they have no sense of urgency? The person calling seems completely unbothered. Also during this 911 call, Karina says, there's stuff in my room that wasn't there before. Someone must have been in here. If there were items that weren't in your room before and they're there now, and you thought it was important enough to tell the dispatcher and operator on the phone, wouldn't you find it important enough to tell the dispatcher what the items were? Why would you feel the need to tell the dispatcher that there's shit in your room that wasn't there before, but you don't want to tell her what it is? That's really sketchy to me. Doesn't make no sense at all.
You need to go in.
What's going on? Like,
Okay,
there's
listen
stuff
to
in my
me.
room that like was not here before.
Okay,
it looks
listen
like
to
someone
me.
that came in here.
Okay.
It really does.
All right, what did
Like
you say your
someone
name
that
was
came
again?
in here. Because
Okay, I don't.
understand.
Okay, listen to me. Don't touch anything else in the room.
I'm not
I want you to
touching.
leave that room, go into the living room.
At one point, Karina says, it looks like someone has been in here. It really does. That again sounds like a statement where not only was Karina or Marisol trying to convince themselves, but they were also trying to convince the dispatcher that in fact someone had been in their apartment and in the room. That sounds like someone who made up a story and wants to make sure that the person listening to their story believes them because they don't believe themselves.
You need to make sure the door is unlocked so somebody can get in, so that the medics and the police can get in when they get there. Okay?
Yes, of course. It's unlocked.
Okay, now tell me again.
They're get here, though.
Okay, they're on their way, honey. They're coming as fast as they can. You just stay on the phone with me, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me again what your name is.
It looks like someone had been in there because she's not like the cell. I don't know what
Okay. I've let them know. We've got everybody on the way to help you. Tell me something. Listen to me. What is your name?
Karina. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
It's okay, honey. It's okay, honey. Listen to me. Tell me again what your name is.
It looks like someone had been in there because she's not like the cell. I don't know what
Okay. I've let them know. We've got everybody on the way to help you. Now, tell me again what your name is.
What?
What is your name?
Karina Rosario.
Karina?
Yes.
Okay, Karina.
At the end of the 911 call, the dispatcher tells Karina, I just don't want you to be alone right now. And Karina says, okay. Not once did she mention, I'm not alone, I'm here with Marisol.
Okay. We've got first responders on the way. There's a fire truck coming. There's a medic coming, and the sheriff's department's on the way to you. Okay? You just stay on the phone with me until somebody gets there with you. All right?
Okay.
Okay, Karina. How old are you, Karina?
I'm 20.
You're 20? Okay, hon. You're doing all right. You're doing all right. You just stay on the phone with me.
I see the police.
You see the police?
Yes.
Okay. You let me know when they get in there with you, and then you can talk to them, all right?
Okay.
I just don't want you to be alone right now.
Okay.
Okay? You just stay on the phone with me.
Okay.
Are they in there with you? They coming in?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, honey. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Not once in the long 911 call did you hear Marisol screaming or crying in the background, shouting out answers to simple questions that Karina could not answer, like, what is your address? In fact, the dispatcher later got interviewed and believed that whoever called 911 that day was in fact alone. Not another person was present. So somebody's lying. The question is who and why. One of these girls is a liar or both of them is a liar. Both of those girls weren't present during this 911 call. They were not. Let's also point out something sketchy. During Marisol's interview with ABC, Marisol told ABC that her and Karina found Faith dead. But person who called 911 told the dispatcher that Faith was unconscious. So how are you going to tell the dispatcher that Faith was unconscious if you then tell ABC that you found Faith dead?
I just walked into my apartment and my friend is just like, she's unconscious.
Okay, you say your friend is unconscious?
She's unconscious. I just walked in the apartment and there looks like there's blood everywhere.
Okay, listen to me.
If you found Faith dead, that means when you walked into the bedroom, you knew that she was dead, not breathing, which means she was not unconscious, but you still told 911 that she was unconscious. Why lie about something so simple and forget that you lied about it? Something's off about Marisol, y'all. And Marisol, if you're watching this YouTube, you girl, I hope your guilt eats you the alive before somebody else does. Karina and Marisol had something to do with Faith's murder, and if they did it, they know who did, and they're covering up for them. And that's the truth. I don't care what anybody else says, but she lied to ABC and she lied on the 911 call. That right there is deception, and the people that deceive others, especially law enforcement, are usually involved. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. During the 911 call, the operator advised Karina to kneel on the ground, check the pulse to see if Faith was still breathing, check her mouth for food or vomit, and the person responding was avoiding doing those actions. The person on the 911 call did not want to touch the body. She would kind of stray away from responding to the operator's suggestions, like, there's blood everywhere, I can't do it. Never agreed to get on the floor. And there also wasn't a second person in the room saying, okay, I'll do it. Put me on speaker, I'll do it. I'll check her mouth for vomit. I'll do this, I'll do that. No one was complying. Not the person who called 911 and not Marisol, who was in the room next to the body.
Are you right by her now?
Yes.
Okay. Listen carefully.
Moving.
Listen. She's not moving. Okay.
No.
Will you touch her arm? Tell me, how does she feel?
She's not moving.
Okay, ma'am, we need to find out if we can help her or not. You've got to, do as I'm asking so we can help her. All right?
Okay.
Okay. If you can, lay her flat on her back. Remove any pillows.
Lay her flat on her back.
Flat on her back. Remove any pillows.
Okay.
Okay. Kneel next to her. Look in her mouth for food or vomit.
Blood everywhere.
Okay. Kneel next to her and look in her mouth for food or vomit. Tell me something. Listen.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
It's okay, honey. It's okay, honey. Listen to me.
No.
Okay. All right. Listen to me. When you touched her, how does she feel? Does she feel warm?
No, she feels cold.
She feels cold? Okay.
When Marisol did her interview with ABC, she told ABC that they wanted her to move the body and put Faith on her back, but we couldn't. Her response saying we couldn't or I couldn't sounds exactly like the person who called 911, because the person who called 911 couldn't get herself to touch the body. Also during the 911 call, you didn't hear the person talking on the phone with the dispatcher advising the person they were with to touch the body, because if you were by yourself and you didn't want to do it, you could ask the person that you were with to do it. But not once during this 911 call did Karina or Marisol advise the other person to put Faith on her back or check her mouth for food and vomit. That never happened. Again, suggesting that the person who made the phone call while they were alone. No one else was there. After Karina called Faith a bunch of times and got no answer and then called Marisol for a ride, that was around 10:30 in the morning. They called 911 from Karina's apartment at 11:01. So in that tiny small time frame, Marisol dropped what she was doing, got ready, went to go pick up Karina from Jacob's house, picked up Karina from Jacob's house, drove back to Karina Faith's apartment, walked up the stairs, found the body, and called 911, all in a matter of less than a half an hour. Seems like a tight time crunch for me. But again, it's easy for police to figure out when a phone call was made. They can pin cell phone towers to find out where exactly Marisol was located when she received a call from Karina and where Karina was located. And none of that has been given to the public. We have no idea if they have gathered cell phone information. I'm highly confused. But again, whether we have the police information about whether these phone calls are accurate or not, the half-hour or less than half-hour time squeeze for Marisol to drop what she's doing, pick up Karina, then drive all the way back to Karina's apartment to then find Faith's body, to then call 911 by 11:01 seems like a tight squeeze to me. And let's all not forget that Marisol was also at Thrill nightclub the night before. She didn't roll, she didn't get in the car with Karina and Faith, but she was in attendance at Thrill nightclub and was there with the girls. And her whereabouts, what she did after, where she went, who she with, I don't know. I could not find it in any of my research. I don't know why any of this hasn't been revealed. What the and where did Marisol go after the nightclub? Who was she with? What was her relationship with Faith? Did they have any issues over a guy? Did they have a good friendship? Marisol is a big question mark, and we need answers. And the police department needs to start answering them. If I've got these questions, how do you guys not have these questions? So after the 911 call, police arrived to what now has become a horrific, terrible crime scene at the Hawthorne View apartment buildings. Details surrounding the crime scene, the case, the autopsy was actually sealed and not revealed to the public till 2 years after Faith's murder, and even to this day, some of the details surrounding this case are still sealed from the public and from Faith's family. Now, I don't understand that. I don't get why they would seal it, but rumor has it that they sealed it because they botched the investigation. They f***ed up a bunch of times and they didn't want scrutiny from the public or Faith's family. I don't know the real reason behind why they sealed the case at all. I don't understand it, but a lot of the details from the case I still don't know, the public doesn't know, and Faith's own family doesn't know. And it took 2 whole years to even get little details about the case for outside help come in and try to help the cops solve who did this to Faith. At the crime scene, semen was found on the body. It was never revealed, at least not to the public, where this semen was found. But at the beginning of this investigation, more than likely, they believed that Faith was raped. So the killer's DNA was all over the apartment, not just in the bedroom. And they believed that the semen belonged to the killer, and if there was more than one person involved in this murder, he was indeed one of the participants. Now, the weird part about this is there was no blood outside of the bedroom. If Faith was bludgeoned to death, the person who killed her would have been covered in blood themselves. So how did they leave the apartment building without getting blood, at least on the door handle? Because remember, there is only one way in and one way out of Faith's apartment. So how did the killer bludgeon Faith to death? There's blood splattered everywhere, and they leave the apartment without leaving a single trace of blood outside of the bedroom. That doesn't make any sense to me. Also at the crime scene was a white bag from a popular Chapel Hill restaurant called Timeout. A handwritten note was written on the bag with a ballpoint pen, and the note said, "I'm not stupid, bitch, jealous." Now, a handwriting analysis believed that this note was written with the person's non-dominant hand. So if they were a righty, they wrote with their left hand. They wrote with disguise. They were trying to write as if they weren't the ones writing. Also, another weird thing is there was absolutely no blood on the bag. If Faith was bludgeoned to death and there was blood splattered everywhere, how does a bag that was on her bed have absolutely no blood on it at all? Not even a handprint. And the pen that was used to write the note also had no blood on it. DNA from the pen confirmed that the note was written by the same person who killed her. The DNA matched with the semen. However, the weird part is a handwriting analysis believed that the note was written by a woman. So if the DNA from the pen matched the semen, how could the note be written by a woman? And also, how did the police determine that that was a specific pen used to write the note? What if there was a million pens in the bedroom? They were in college. They probably did study in their room. How did the cops determine what pen was used to write the note? No blood on the bag suggested to police that the note was either written before the murder occurred and then placed on the bed after the crime, or was written after the crime was committed and placed on the bed after the murder. If it was written before the murder, it's safe to say that the murder was probably premeditated and planned. Either way, the killer got no blood on the bag, which means if they placed the bag on the bed after the murder, they must have gone to the bathroom, washed all the blood off their hands, picked up the bag, and then placed it, because if the bag was placed after the murder, their hands would have been covered in blood. Now, we don't know the actual context to the note. We don't know who wrote the note, but we can understand the note's not even a full sentence, but we can obviously come to the conclusion that jealousy played a factor in why this person who killed Faith was angry. They were jealous, either of her or of a situation that she was in. Only the real killer, the person who killed Faith, knows the context behind this note. Some theorists believe that the note wasn't even intended for Faith. It was intended for the person who would find Faith's dead body, which would be Karina, because Karina is the only person she lived with. So some theorists believe that the person who killed Faith had it out for Karina and committed this crime to get this awful message to her. I believe Karina was involved in Faith's death, so I don't believe in that theory. I don't believe that the note was written for Karina, or the note was written to make it seem like the note was written for Karina to, again, distract investigators from believing that Karina had something to do with it. Handwriting analysis who studied this note believed that the behavior or the person that wrote this note was one of a narcissist, one that was all about themselves, had lack of authority, and they determined that the person who wrote the note was jealous of Faith, and also Faith at one point might have called this person stupid, and it angered this person. Faith calling this person stupid was the end-all be-all for them. They could not get over it. It was a trigger for them, and they believed that if police or investigators interrogated suspects, if they used the word stupid, it could be a trigger for that person and might be a key factor in trying to solve who did this. In the public records, it states that there was blood splatter on the closet and a bloody tampon was lying beside her on the bed. On the center of the bed, there was also a small white paper bag with the words, "I'm not stupid, bitch, jealous." The statement was written directly on the bag in what appears to be ink. Based on preliminary investigation, it is believed that the victim may be acquainted with the person who killed her. Investigators from Chapel Hill Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence. Pursuant to this search warrant, investigators gathered evidence at the scene, including, but not limited to, the victim's laptop computers store immense amount of information, including but not limited to times, dates, photographs, and records of communications. Information stored on this computer could be useful as evidence in the investigation of Ms. Hedgepeth's death. I think this is a crucial part of the court documents that are public record, because a lot of people were saying that maybe a stranger was watching Faith for a long period of time, used this opportunity to attack her, rape or kill her. We don't even know if she was raped at this point. But in this search warrant, cops believe that it was someone that Faith knew, that she was close to, that had some type of personal emotion or anger towards her that killed her, which throws that idea of a complete and utter stranger going to her apartment and attacking her out the window. We can just get rid of that idea. It's absolutely someone she knows. Decoy Jones was obviously suspect number one, because allegedly he had threatened to kill Faith if Karina would not get back with him. So obviously police are told this by a mutual friend of both Karina and Faith, and they think that maybe Eric had something to do with this, and maybe he did do exactly what he threatened to do. A day before Faith's murder, Eric had texted one of his friends and also tweeted asking for forgiveness for what he was about to do. So police are like, wow, he's an idiot. He did this. A few days after his interview with police, Blank agreed to allow officers to search his cell phone. Pursuant to this consent search, officers retrieved a text sent to a friend on September 6, 2012, asking them to forgive him for what he was about to do. Similarly, officers recovered a tweet sent by Blank to another acquaintance, also asking them to forgive him for what he was about to do. Through further investigation, officers also reviewed Blank's Facebook page on September 10th, 2012, and learned that Blank had changed the cover photo on his Facebook page to the following statement: "Dear Lord, forgive me for all of my sins and the sins I may commit today. Protect me from the girls who don't deserve me and the ones who wish me dead today." I actually found online, which I was shocked that I could. Here is Eric's actual Facebook post. The last part of the search warrant in regards to Eric, it states, through Affiant's training and experience, Affiant believes that information contained in Mr. Blank's Facebook profile and/or messages may help to determine who caused the death of Faith Hedgepeth. This is an actions of a guilty ass mother I don't know what is. Obviously, Eric is brought in for questioning. At first, he's reluctant to give his DNA, but then eventually he's cooperative, he gives his DNA, and lo and behold, his DNA does not match the DNA found on Faith's body at the crime scene. His DNA was not a match. How convenient. So now cops are back at square one. An award of $39,000 was raised and offered to people who could provide any help or information that would lead them to Faith's killer. Of course, they received tips, but no one actually came forward and provided them details of a new suspect or anyone that could be held responsible for her murder. Keep in mind, Faith's records were sealed, and every time they were about to be unsealed, it would be brought back to court and the records would be sealed again and again and again and again. And so the public has no access to information surrounding this case or clues or evidence collected where they could help investigators find additional suspects. Tenants of Hawthorne View Apartments got interviewed when all of this happened, and although the entire premise was surrounded by crime scene tape, these two tenants told the people that were interviewing them that nobody got questioned. Only 2 apartments got searched, Faith and Karina's and one other apartment that was in the other building across from theirs. They didn't go door to door asking people for questions if they heard anything, saw anything. They didn't check the woods behind the apartment or the surrounding area. They didn't canvass the neighborhood. They didn't use search dogs or scent dogs to find another building or apartment that had Faith's scent, because maybe someone else in the apartment complex had something to do with it. Somebody that's been watching Faith for a while and knew Karina left and left the door unlocked. Police didn't do any of this. Police also left Faith's car unsecure while they were doing the search of her apartment. Therefore, people could have touched her car, been in her car out of curiosity, being a nosy neighbor. They could have picked up any possible clues or evidence in the car because the car was not blocked off. Police also didn't ask the nightclub for footage of the nightclub inside or of their parking lot where Faith and Karina had parked their car. It wasn't until 18 or 19 months after Faith's murder that police asked the nightclub for this footage, and it was only because a reporter who wanted to solve the case on their own because they thought the police were not doing their job requested it before police. Now at this point, it's been 18 months after the murder, and that footage was unfortunately destroyed, recorded over. And those tapes could have showed something important. Did Faith and Karina have a fight in the parking lot? Did somebody else get into Faith and Karina's car? Did they actually leave the parking lot, just them two? That evidence would have been crucial in helping the police solve this case, and now it's gone. So because of all these small little details about what the cops didn't do, people also believe that that's why they had Faith's records sealed, because they didn't want their inadequate job to be revealed to the public, because the way they conducted the crime scene and little tiny important details that probably could have helped them find the murderer sooner, they would have been ridiculed for that. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think they could have done a better job, of course. I don't know if that's why they kept having the records sealed, but it wasn't until 2013 where FBI finally got involved. And in 2014, some of the records surrounding Faith's murder were finally unsealed. Joy, the neighbor that heard noises coming from Karina and Faith's apartment around 3 a.m., was also interviewed by Crime Watch Daily, and during her interview, she told them that she will never forget seeing Karina and Marisol after they discovered the body and after the police arrived, and it's something she'll never forget. She said they look like two females that didn't just discover their friend's roommate, best friend, murdered in their bedroom. She said Karina was texting and Marisol was lightly crying, but they did not look like two people that just discovered the body of their roommate or close friend. Understandable that people grieve differently and they handle high stress situations differently, but who the was Karina texting? And why is that not in the police report? Who could she possibly be texting outside of her apartment where a body was just discovered? Who? When Faith's records were unsealed, it was revealed that one of Faith's friends received a butt dial from Faith on September 7th, 2012 at around 1:23 in the morning, which would mean that Karina and Faith were still in the club. It was never said in the police report or in the records that were unsealed if police ever got this voicemail analyzed or looked at. However, law enforcement deemed this voicemail indecipherable. However, years later, people that analyzed voicemails took a look at this voicemail on their own and determined that there was key factors in there that were absolutely decipherable. These analysts believe that technology always has issues with timestamps, and they believe that this voicemail was not received at 1:23 in the morning. In fact, they believe this voicemail was received by Faith's friend while she was being murdered. In this voicemail, you can hear Faith cry out for help. She's in pain, and it's also another female's voice and two males, making it 4 people present during Faith's murder. At one point, it sounds like someone is singing or rapping in the voicemail, which people are like, okay, well, maybe they were in the club. But then they're like, there's no bass, there's no champagne glasses clinking together. The analysis that looked at the voicemail believe that it was someone singing their own rap version over T-Pain's song called Booty Work. And they believe that they were singing that at times where Faith may have been making noise to distract the fact that she was crying out for help. 3 names can be heard distinctly during this recording: Eric, which we all know had it out for Faith, Rosie, and Big Mike. Karina's last name was Rosario, and people would call her Rosie. So Rosie, during this voicemail, could in fact be Karina. We already know who Eric is, but the question is, who the fuck is Big Mike? In 2016, Parabon Nanolabs came out with a composite sketch on who they believe killed Faith. This sketch is a man who has olive skin, is of Latin descent, and has dark black hair. But honestly, most likely that's not what the killer looks like. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right now. I feel like that composite sketch can just go ahead and get thrown right in the trash, because that is not who we're looking for. That is not killer. After this sketch was released to the public, no new suspects ever came to light. No one came forward saying this could be a suspect, this person looks like this sketch. This sketch probably actually made the killer feel more confident that they'll never be caught. I want to believe that the FBI put out this composite sketch to with the killer's mind to make them think that they were not being looked at, when in fact investigators and FBI know that that sketch is bullshit and they're actually on to the person that actually did it. That's what I want to believe. So police said that the murderer could have been someone that had been watching Faith for a while, someone she met at a club or out and rejected, could have been a stranger that just was sitting outside of the apartment at 4:25 in the morning just when Karina was leaving and saw Karina not lock the door and said, "This is my moment," and went inside and did what they wanted to her. But the attack was so personal. She got bludgeoned to death. There was a handwritten note that suggested jealousy. This doesn't seem like a crime a rapist or stalker would have committed, because they wouldn't have rage because they don't have a relationship with Faith. Also, if this was a random attack from a random stranger from someone who didn't know Faith, why was there no trace blood anywhere else in the apartment? There was only blood in the bedroom. For that to be true, that person would have taken a shower, cleaned themselves up, and then left the apartment. No stranger who doesn't know when someone is coming home or back to an apartment is going to do that. Whoever killed Faith knew that Karina was gone for the rest of the night and had no fear of being caught in the act that they were committing. Faith's autopsy report showed that she had bruises on her legs and arms and blood under her fingernails, which means she fought back against her attacker or attackers, but the autopsy report didn't reveal if the blood under her fingernails belonged to somebody else. That was weird to me. Did she get skin particles under her fingernails? Did she scratch somebody? Is there anything under her fingernails that could help solve this case? I find it a little odd that Faith would have been fighting for her life. Even in the voicemail, it sounds like she's screaming ow and crying out in pain and help. And how did no neighbor hear anything? How did no neighbor hear her cries for help? It's just very odd to me. Doesn't add up. 2,000 people have been questioned and 750 people got their DNA tested and were not a match. There's also a lot of people that got questioned and refused to give their DNA, which is a little sketchy to me, but they refused. In 2018, 3 years ago, it was revealed that they narrowed their suspects down to 10 people. 10 people, you guys. It's now 2021 and no one has been arrested, not a single person, and there's still no new leads and no new suspects. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you who some of the suspects were.